crazy mother.
A cycling for 2 black creature that does some crazy stuff higher up on the mana curve. But this is the Desert Suridon, cycling 1 red, and it's a 6/4, and this just fits really well into a Living End deck. This is more just a shout out to Living End decks because I love them.
Yes.
So shout out to Living End.
Which Living End, if in case you don't know what it is, Living End basically sacrifice all creatures, bring all creatures from the graveyard back to the battlefield.
And so you cycle all your creatures, and then you cascade into Living End, which is a no mana cost card. You cast
what's
it
it?
for free.
A suspend 4 mana cost?
I think it's 3.
So it's like at best going to come out turn 6, probably 7. But with Cascade, you can bring it out turn 3 or 2, maybe even.
Yeah, because some of these spirit guides run as well.
And
so I'm just excited for it. There's a couple other
the
cycling cards.
Is a really cool.
There's a blue cycling card, and Living End doesn't run blue, but it's a really good blue cycling card. So
you
I'm
might
curious.
want to think about running blue in your cast.
Definitely thinking about it.
I mean, especially because now you can go back and run that card, the card we were just talking about earlier, Drakehaven.
Yeah, I've thought about it. I really have, but. The reason I include this card is because it's a no-brainer fit into that deck, at least for me. Right. Second honorable mention for me, you guys come up with your own honorable mentions here, is Samut. I think that's her name. I put her
Samut.
I put her freaking name behind the text on this.
Yeah, Voice of Dissent.
Yeah, Samut, Voice of Dissent. This is just an epic Naya commander. I think this card is good enough. It might see standard play. This card is so crazy to me. It's 3... a forest, and a mountain. So it's 5-drop, but it is flash, double strike, vigilance, haste. And if that's not enough, other creatures you control have haste. And if that's not enough, 1 white and tap it to untap another creature. This plays well with Exert in standard. This plays well with... It's just... To me, this is a bonkers card, and it's legendary, so it is an insane commander.
What is that, like 1, 2, 3, 4, like
just
5,
4 keywords
different
on
like,
itself, and it gives all your other creatures a keyword.
Abilities.
Yeah, it's just, I love this card. I don't even know what kind of commander I'd put together around it. I mean, obviously there's a lot of things you would start with, but it's just a crazy cool creature, and I see it. I really think this could see play in standard. This could push. It is just a pushed card. I don't even know where it fits, but when you see it, I'm just like, what is happening?
I think you just get so much utility. The fact that she's a 5-drop, she's going to obviously be kind of your late game area. But the fact that she's a 5-drop doesn't actually worry me too much because you just get so much utility out of it.
And it's flash. What kind of creature has flash?
What kind of red-green creature
double
has
strike flash? Has flash, double strike, it's crazy good.
I don't know if I've ever seen a creature with flash and haste.
That is an interesting...
like what?
Have you seen a creature with flash and double strike?
Flash and haste is...
Flash and any other combat mechanic is nuts. Or they have flash, and when it blocks, it gets something. Or flash, and when it comes to the battlefield, tap.
Enters
but
the battlefield.
But this thing is just like flash and boom, wreck your opponent. I mean, the only thing it's missing is flying, haste, lifelink, death touch.
It has haste. Doesn't have death touch, flying, or lifelink.
No,
but
I think the only
it's
thing
close
it's missing
enough.
because it has double strike is death touch.
Well, no, first strike.
No, it's got double strike.
It needs double strike and first strike, obviously.
They totally should have just
double strike,
triple
and
strike.
Well, if they played a card that was like all creatures your opponents control lose first strike, you'd have double strike as a backup.
Yeah.
That's true.
Solid.
That's true.
Solid, my friend.
I do have an honorable mention.
Okay.
Champion of Ronus is the new
Piper.
The new Elvish Piper. So it's 3 and a green.
Okay, I'm gonna be all negative about this.
And you can exert him. When you do, you may put a creature from your hand onto the battlefield. Obviously, Elvish Piper is a lot cheaper.
No, it's 4.
Is it?
Yeah,
but it's easier to use, right?
Well,
no, because it doesn't have haste.
I mean, unless you somehow give it haste,
it's easier to kill.
I mean, Champion of Ronus doesn't have haste either. So.
Right, so they're both turn 5.
Yeah, they're both turn 5, but they're also, I mean, Champion of Ronus 3/3.
Yep, it's a better blocker.
Better attacker. And
I love the idea of
Exert is something that we didn't actually talk about very much.
We haven't really talked about the mechanics of this.
We did talk about Embalm. there's a lot of creatures. Obviously, embalm creatures are pretty cool, but basically what embalm is, you pay the mana cost, you exile the creature from your graveyard, and put a token that's a copy of that creature onto the battlefield, except it's a zombie.
A white zombie.
It's the color that it decides to be, actually.
No, it's white.
Yeah.
Okay, hang on. We got to bet something on this. I bet you a milkshake at the station.
No, I believe you. If it's always a white zombie, then you're probably right. Embalm, it makes sense. I won't disagree.
When I want a milkshake.
We'll go out for milkshake.
Okay, no, yeah, I am certain it's a white zombie.
But anyways,
because I thought it was super weird.
Exert though, exert is really interesting. So an exerted creature won't untap during its untap stat. So it's when it attacks, you have to exert it. And exert
you get the option though, which is really interesting.
Yeah, exert is an interesting mechanic. You're deciding whether or not you want to be able to get that creature back up to swing or even block in the next turn or so. The reason I think this card is just cool is any creature from your hand on the battlefield.
Sure, it's super cool. I really like what this creature does. My biggest downside, and be all negative again, is they have a turn to deal with it, and it's 3 toughness. So if the fiery tempers, it sits there for so long, and they have so long to prepare. Whereas like, I always forget what the name of that artifact is that was casting Amonkhet for free. What was the name of that?
Aetherworks Marvel?
Yes. Yeah, Aetherworks Marvel is also a turn 4 drop, and you can activate it on turn 4. So, and granted, this goes from your hand, whereas the other one goes for the 6 top cards, but by the time you play this, you're probably not going to have 6 cards in your hand. I really like the card. I really like this card. I just don't think it's going to see play.
I don't think that it's going to be a standard play. But I do think that it is going to be definitely good in things like Commander.
It's going to be a champion Piper deck.
If you try and play that in a deck, that you're trying to cheat down a huge creature,
I really like it.
It's going to die. But if you're just playing it for the synergy of that, especially with they have
the value.
They have a lot of mechanics like
you can just play it
and that's obviously for exerted creatures.
You can use
Samet, voice of the
Sin.
So you can just use her untap them.
Mechanics, so it's not the worst thing to
okay, I'm challenging you, Jeff. You got to make a Samet, a champion of Ronos deck.
But still, there's what's that? There was a one.
Hey, I just realized
untaps a creature.
That's really big favor flail. What did I just say? Favor flail?
Yes.
Favor flail.
Okay, I mean flavor flail. Ronos the Indomitable, right?
Yes.
That guy's named Champion of Ronos, and he can't even activate Ronos.
That is a very good point.
Yes.
Ronos is like, what kind of champion is this?
But he can cheat Ronos down.
But Ronos costs less than he does.
Back to my original point.
Oh no, wait, he's the champion.
Drop.
Okay, he's the champion because he brings in the creature that can activate Ronos.
Right, he brings the creature in that could activate it. He's basically there
of Ronos.
to use another creature to turn Ronos
He's like,
on.
no, Ronos.
If you were kind of playing an aggro strategy, then it might just be a better way just to basically get more value.
But it's not tapped and attacking, and this is turn 5, so this isn't aggro.
Yeah, but if you
I love this card. Believe me, when I first saw this guy, I was like, this is epic. It's not quick enough.
It's definitely a better Piper, though.
Yeah,
we can agree on that.
I think
give it vigilance too.
Yeah,
but okay. It's kind of a better Piper, but Piper doesn't have to attack.
Yeah, and so that guy like
it's definitely more resilient. I would say this is better than Piper.
Swing with the guy if he's got
this is better than Piper.
You know, or if you
it's definitely different than Piper.
If you use Piper's ability, because you can use Piper's ability right after untap. So whatever creature you cheat in with Piper.
Well, and she just doesn't. She doesn't have to attack into a death scenario. Whereas on turn 4, this guy's most likely going to die if you swing with him, just because by turn 5, they're going to have something. Most likely, maybe not, and maybe you can use them as a combat trick, right? Like you get Blossoming Defense up, and you swing in with this guy, drop your Ulamog, and take over the game.
Done.
So I really like it. When you mentioned Exert, it reminded me we should probably talk about. The other mechanic that we haven't mentioned, which is Aftermath.
Oh, Aftermath. I do actually have a card that will bring up Aftermath as well. So
okay, is this an honorable mention?
Yeah, this is one of my honorable mentions. Okay. And maybe this is personally me, but there's Cut to Ribbons.
I love the naming convention with this. When I first saw them, I had no idea that there was supposed to be a 2 in between, and I was like, cut ribbons? Why would I cut a ribbon? But
the Aftermath, all the mechanics, so we've got Dusk to Dawn, Cut to Ribbons, you know, and they're so clever with it. Aftermath is a weird mechanic, though. Because the whole idea is that you're supposed to cast it, put it sideways in your graveyard.
I don't think you have to, but Exiled. That's definitely what they want you to do.
Yeah, like they want you to make it.
So here's the thing.
It's really strange.
I don't like the look of the card. I think I understand what they went with, and I'm okay with how it works. I think the card looks super goofy.
Yes.
But I really like the mechanic. I really don't like most of the cards they printed with the mechanic.
I'm hoping that Aftermath we get to see more of.
Do you think it's going to be an hour?
I really do hope that they do more Aftermath an hour.
So it's a super great mechanic, right? You basically, if you get this in your opening hand, you drew 8 cards, right? Like that's basically what it says. Yeah. Granted, you can only cast one side first, then the other. But I really do like the mechanic. Again, the card art looks kind of goofy.
Right.
But to be able to cast something and then you have this card that's staring your opponent in the face, you know, they can see it's there, they've got to play around it. I really do like, but I feel like most of the Aftermath cards were really boring.
And well, the thing is, so the reason I like Cut to Ribbons is one, it's a 2-drop, deals 4 damage to target creature.
Yeah.
It's pretty good removal.
Yeah.
2-drop, obviously.
I actually agree with you. I think Cut to Ribbons is going to see play. Sorcery Speed's rough, but the 4 damage is huge. Downfall. The 4 damage is really good.
Right. And then later on, 2 black and X, you get to basically each opponent loses X life. So you get to destroy a creature, and then later on, it's just that little extra bit of damage.
Sit in the graveyard and taunt your opponent.
Yeah.
They're going to be at 10 life, and they're going to be looking at that, and they can't take 4 damage, whereas before they would have, well, I could take 4 damage, and they're going to see that card. I really like that card.
It really forces their hand.
Yeah, it forces their hand, and it's that last bit. If they build up, they stabilize, you get them down to 4 health, and then they stabilize.
And you're like, oh.
Aftermath.
Tap and kill you.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be pretty useful in Standard. Maybe a possibility in a Modern deck somewhere. Not going to be super strong.
Something we should also mention is they changed the rulings on split cards with these Aftermath cards, and it's retroactive, so it actually changes the rulings for fuse cards as well. Before, things like expertise cards that could cast 1/2 of the card would be able to cast both halves. There was actually an expertise card in Modern that was being played. It wasn't super tier 1, but it was pretty good. And they would expertise, what was the name of it, like Boom Bust or...
There was one, they were cheating out stuff with it, I think.
Right, there was one that would let you put a bunch of tokens on the battlefield. I can't even remember all of them.
It was a 2-drop on one side and like a 6-drop on the other.
But if you could cast 1/2, you could cast both halves. But when they came out with these cards, they actually redid those rules. So say if you can cast 1/2 of even the old fuse cards, that doesn't mean you get to cast the other half for free. You have to cast the combined.
Probably also changes the enchantment counterbalance. If you revealed a fuse or double card, then it would counter if its mana cost was equal to either side. So
it would be the combined.
Probably they may have changed the ruling on that.
So just an interesting thing to mention.
That is actually definitely changes.
Because playing MTGO, I ran into that a lot where they just Kir Zev's expertise, and it's just like you saw that come out because it was being played in Modern just for that. It's like, oh, here it comes.
I think it was cool. I really liked that mechanic. It wasn't super fair, but then neither is Living End.
One more. So we talked about Embalm a little bit. This one's just for me. There's a card called Vizier of Many Faces.
What, nobody else gets it?
No, this is only for me.
Damn it.
This is one more honorable mention, and it brings up the other mechanics. So we've talked about Exert, we talked about Aftermath, we talked a little bit about Embalm, and it does actually say here it's white, and it's a zombie in addition to its other types. So I think you got it right there. But it's a clone.
Yeah.
So it's a 2 and 2 blue. Enters the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield. The cool thing about it is that it's a 4-drop clone, and then when it goes to the graveyard, you can embalm it for 5.
So I don't know, do we mention exactly what Embalm is? Embalm is a card. If a card has Embalm as a mana cost, you can cast its Embalm cost at sorcery speed, and you create a token that is a copy of the card that was in your graveyard.
Right. As a white zombie.
As a white zombie
Yes.
as well. I really like this as well. Like you said, it's a clone, but it's a twofer, right? So you can play it earlier on to copy a decent value card, and then the late game they drop a Metalwork Colossus, and
you can use it to clone
or a Cataclysmic Gearhulk or whatever it is. Like, yeah, super cool card.
I just like the fact that you get 2 easy uses out of it, and I think clone cards personally I'm a big fan of. So I think this is one of the embalm cards that I like more than most of the other ones. There's definitely more that are more useful, but I just thought that was a really cool card. I think the last thing to talk about is the lands.
Sure. Do you have any honorable mentions, Judah?
Yeah, actually, I had a
Oh,
few.
shoot.
So the one that I thought was really cool that really stuck out to me, I was just, one day I was bruising through the cards when and one of them got spoiled, and I was just like,
What does bruising mean?
browsing.
Okay.
Bruising the cards. I was mentally and
Bruising them,
verbally
man.
abusing the cards. Some of these cards, sheesh. And it's a Blazing Volley. Is when I first saw it.
I just thought of another one.
I was like, wow. It's not an insanely good card, but it's just good value that I like to see in Standard. It's Blazing Volley is a 1 mana cost sorcery. Blazing Volley deals 1 damage to each creature your opponents control, especially with Soulscar Mage. And also the new
Really interesting card.
Wrath of God, Anger of the Gods. It's not Anger of the Gods, but it's basically the same.
Oh yeah, deal 3 damage to each creature.
And Radiant Flames, much better board wipe synergy, but Blazing Volley, especially against any kind of token strategy, if it's just 1/1 servos or Thopters, Blazing Volley, it's so easy. Whereas before, to take out all those things, Deck and Stone will take out a bunch of them, but if they're servos and Thopters or whatever they've got, but Blazing Volley, really good value. And then, of course, the archetypal. It's already been printed, so I don't know if it really counts as an honorable mention because it's not a new card in Amonkhet, but they're reprinting it. Fling.
Yeah, Fling's pretty awesome.
Fling is actually a very good honorable
I had a
mention.
Metalwork Colossus deck that I had made that played pretty well at our LGS. It was not a tier 1 deck or anything, but it played pretty well, and I was super excited to throw Fling in there just to play the Metalwork, swing in with it, and then just throw it into my opponent's face. But with all the artifact hate, I don't think I'm going to actually be able to keep that deck around, but Fling is epic. And Fling works with gods, right? Even if the god isn't turned on, you get him down, you
throw your god out.
Throw the god right in their face.
Yeah.
It's like, you don't want to get turned on, I'm going to fling you out of here.
Cost 5/5, buff him up a bit.
This god just is not turned on. I'm just going to fling him at somebody.
Yeah, well, Jim here is talking about his Metalwork Colossus, saying it's not a tier 1 standard deck, but he swept basically every one of our standard tournament nights with it. It was stupid. So he says it wasn't, but
Could have been.
There was a fair amount of luck.
More synergistic deck. Than
It was super fun. It would be
hateful.
super fun to throw a Metalwork Colossus at somebody's face. I would literally pick the card up and throw it at them. That's what I wanted to do.
I would probably do
I
the
might
same.
still do it, even with all the artifact hate. But
That's like Fateful Showdown.
yeah.
That's my favorite. That's one of my favorite cards that came out of. I believe it was Kaladesh.
Kaladesh.
So, just throw my hand at them. Forget it. I'm just gonna throw my whole hand in your face and call it a day.
There is one more card, and I feel stupid because I don't have it set up here, that we should mention, and I think it'll see modern play, and that's the only reason I want to mention it. It was the red X and 1 red cost to destroy X artifacts, and that's a solidly good card. There was originally a red card with multi-kicker that was a 1 cost and a multi-kicker to destroy. It's by force. Okay, I just found it. It's by force is X and 1 red to destroy X target artifacts.
It's a great sideboard card.
Super solid sideboard. This is the biggest reason I'm not going to play Metalwork Colossus very much, because Metalwork Colossus is an artifact that relies on artifacts, and on turn 2 you can disassemble that deck, and turn 3 and 4 you can just destroy an opponent's deck if it is artifact synergy, right? And in modern, like, the reason I think this is somewhat important or valid is because the multi-kicker version of this card, which was the closest equivalent we have to this card, was a red with a multi-kicker of red.
Right.
So in order to destroy 4 artifacts, you had to have 4 mountains. Where this is just a 1 red and any other color. So this slots into a lot more decks, and it is some serious artifact hate. So just an interesting card.
Yeah, it definitely shuts down Affinity, shuts down a lot of vehicles.
Yeah,
shuts down vehicles.
No, I think
down,
what did we have before
Marvel
this? In Standard, we had Gremlins. What was it called? Something Gremlins. Release the Gremlins.
Release the Gremlins.
And that was
2 red and 2
XX,
X, right?
It was 1 red XX.
But 2X.
And so for 5 mana, you could kill 2. With this, for 5 mana, you can kill 4. And granted, you don't get the little Gremlin tokens, but this is so good.
But the swing with the Gremlins.
So I mean, this is Heart-of-Curian, Scrap Heap Scrounger for 3.
Yeah,
that's solid.
It's pretty good.
Super good card. All right, let's get to these lands. These are pretty cool lands. We have not seen a land cycle like this in Modern before.
Definitely great because 1, they're dual lands.
They're dual lands,
awesome.
And 2, they are fetchable dual lands.
Exactly.
I don't know if that means a whole lot in Modern because they do always come in tapped, but they are mountain, swamp. They are land types. They're not just non-basics, right?
I don't think you'll see them as much in Modern, mainly because of that, because they do come in tapped, so they are slower.
Yeah, but
they, you know what the thing is?
Consider the value is oftentimes just putting a couple in your deck, and so you split them, half the shock lands, and then half these, the cycle lands, and then then you go on your turn. A lot of people, especially on a control deck, they play their crack land. They don't crack it yet. And then if someone plays something they want to counterspell, then they crack their land, do their shock, all that stuff, take the damage and counter the spell or whatever, burn the creature. But oftentimes what they'll do is they'll play it and then bring it in at the beginning of the person's end step, so it comes in untapped and they don't pay the 2 life. You bring in one of those instead, so you still have the advantage of that. And then if you draw one of those and you don't need a land,
clearly that's what these are for. The cycling is what makes these good.
I think personally, I believe that I would probably run this in a Modern.
Yeah, but
I mean, this is better. I mean, this is mana fixing. This is not tier. How I say this is not tier 1 mana fixing, but for anybody who's in Standard now looking to get into Modern, this is fetchable, which is really important.
Definitely.
Decent dual lands. They're not great. I mean, they are not shock lands, right? Like you can't. I mean, nothing is as good as fixing your mana turn 1.
Perfectly.
But like you just said, I mean, there's a lot of decks that turn 1, they fetch up a tapped shock land. They just fetch it up tapped.
Yeah.
And no other land, I mean, what's the closest thing that you see to this is the, I think it was in Theros, the lands that came in, you Scry 1.
Yeah.
And Scry 1's decent, but I mean, especially for control or mid-game decks, I mean, you get to turn 5, turn 6, and you get a land, and you're drawing land every turn, it just feels so bad. You draw this land, might feel bad, but you can do something with it.
Yeah, you can at least throw it away and get a new card.
Sure.
You know?
And in Standard, it's worth mentioning, there's a ton of cycling synergy. I mean, Hazaret, the Drake, what was it?
You can
Drake
cycle
Haven.
it and then bring it back with...
absolutely. Yeah. That's a little expensive.
Shadow of the Grave, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I'm just saying, you have the option.
I'm excited about these. I don't think they're game-breaking, but it's cool to see a new type of land in Modern. I think that's exciting, and I think it's a super good dual land for Standard.
Yeah, definitely going to see play in Standard, I think, just because they're versatile.
Yeah, absolutely.
And are there fetch lands? I don't know if there are fetch lands in Standard right now.
Nope, no fetch lands in Standard.
So
Cons,
that does.
Dragons was the last one. Either way, yeah,
that does hurt it a little bit.
Yeah, definitely the land type.
The land types
doesn't help
make it
accessible
accessible in Modern, but in Standard,
Modern
it's just
and
good as
a lot of people are asking, does this mean fetch lands are coming in Standard?
We could see them in the next set. That would be really cool.
That would be sweet. I doubt we'll see them in
fetch lands with cycle.
I doubt.
I don't think we see them in Hour of Devastation.
I think we'll either see maybe a couple of rare, nice, interesting, cool lands, maybe not great value, possibly in Commander, or the continuation of this set in the next half of the block. I don't think we'll see.
They usually do that other half of the set years apart. Like fetch lands have been like 4 years. Fast lands, we just finished the fast land cycle, and that was from Mirrored and Besieged.
Yeah, but okay.
Or not Mirrored and Besieged, Scars.
Yeah.
the Zendikar had dual lands, but they are common unless you control 2 or more basic lands.
Right. I think these are
those
better
are
than those.
slow lands.
They're not useless. They are not useless, but these are definitely
useless to
better.
Fetch.
These are definitely better.
You know, and so these are. I mean, they just get you mana fixing, and so even in a tier 1 deck, I mean, tier 1, you want to fix your modern your mana perfectly. Just having a little bit of this in there.
Well, I like this. I'm looking at my Living End deck that cycles a lot, and this is a cool card. I don't know that it's necessarily great in that deck. I still see. I mean, Modern is fast enough that I don't really think these are going to be the new land for Modern.
They won't.
But in the right deck,
though,
a good cheap alternative, especially now, and in like a control deck, I think these are solid. I think these are good because
control
because a shock land on turn 8 is worth. I mean, it's not worthless. It's just not what you're looking for. Whereas a shock land or this cycling land is value. Any other thoughts on cycling lands?
The only reason why, again, I would see, like, if you're playing with the perfect mana fixing in a tier 1 Modern deck, and even if you have the regular, just dual lands in your hand, you can drop them and just pay the 2 life without even cracking and fetching. But if you have these, you might have to ditch the perfect hand, just because you had a couple of these in your hand and 2 of them showed up. You know, I doubt that would happen, and it's like the balance of value. What is the value of this? And it will give good value. It is fetchable, and you can always choose to fetch which land you go for. You go for the shock land or the cycle land.
That's. I mean, to me, that's what makes these actually really worth talking about is the fact that they're fetchable. Yeah. I think that makes them solid.
Definitely.
Okay, this has actually gone quite long, but the last thing that I thought was worth talking about and just mentioning is bannings. What do we think about upcoming bannings, and what do we think either needs to be banned or how we feel about that? I like our LGS. There's not a ton of net deckers, which is fine. I don't mind if people play net decks, but there's not a lot of. The standard meta does not necessarily dictate how we play at Oregon Ghost games, which is nice. But there have been people who played Saheeli combo. There have been people who, not really vehicles, Marty vehicles, which is the strongest deck.
Yeah,
according to most meta.
Yeah, my dad wants to play Marty vehicles.
Yeah, of course,
really badly. It follows along the lines of what he likes to play.
And it is like objectively the best deck in Standard right now. So, do we think we're going to see bannings coming up, and / do we want to see bannings?
So basically, like, was this last Standard banning a fluke?
So I am relatively new to Standard. I have played Magic for the last almost 8 years now, but I came to your shop like less than a year ago, I think.
Actually, it'll be close to a year now.
Okay, around a year ago. But I've been playing.
Anniversary.
That's right. But so I've been and I had played Modern very casually, and I really like Modern, and so that's like my favorite format. But I really have started to enjoy Standard. So the whole precedent that has been set in the last few years, where there was no bannings, very, very sparse bannings. What was the last thing? Was Splinter Twin the last major banning?
Well, that was banned
Standard?
in Modern.
Standard. That was banned in Standard.
I think it's still legal in Modern, isn't it?
No, Splinter Twin is banned.
Is it? It was definitely banned during the time that it came out, and I mean, I think it's at least been like.
So don't hold me to that, but I think in the last few years, something like Collected Company was not banned. Right. Whereas don't hold me to this, but I think I heard one of the developers or somebody from Magic say, with the way we're doing it now, we would have banned Collected Company. That's what I thought.
A lot of people were calling for. They hated it.
And Emrakul, granted, I never pulled an Emrakul. I did not have a ton of Emrakuls, and I did not have a Delirium deck, so that would have been painful. But Emrakul was banned, and I felt like that was a good thing. At the time, that did not hurt my feelings.
I feel like it's pretty safe.
To me,
I think the reason that they left it in Modern and banned it from Standard, even though I think it's easier to get Emrakul out.
Oh yeah,
in a Modern field.
Well, it was very impressive.
It's also it's not really ever easy to deal with Emrakul, but I feel like you have more options to deal with it.
And the fact of the matter is, like, Standard is a slower format, right? Like Standard is turn 5, turn 6, or it has been.
And Emrakul
and Modern is a turn 3, turn 4. And so Emrakul just doesn't get to... it can't come out and destroy you by the time Jund or Living End now... Not Living End, Death Shadow.
Burn,
or Infect. There's so many things that are faster than Emrakul in Modern, whereas in Standard... It was. I mean, now Saheeli combo is way faster than Emrakul, and
that's a ban.
I agree.
I don't think it will be banned, but I think that it should be.
I'm going to say here that Felidar Guardian gets banned.
I think that I agree. Felidar Guardian. The problem with Felidar Guardian is there's one card that makes it stupid.
Sure.
Everything
I
else
like
is
Saheeli.
Saheeli
is cool. I mean, I think they could. I think Felidar is almost more interesting than Saheeli as far as decks go now, because playing Felidar, I mean, there are so many cards in Standard that enter the battlefield, this happens. Enter the battlefield, this happens. So it's cool. Felidar Guardian is a great...
Also gives you revolt triggers.
The thing that's really ridiculous is that they didn't say at the end of your turn, right? If they just printed Felidar Guardian and said, blinks another creature, or blinks target permanent at the end of your turn, it comes back.
Right.
But the way it's worded, to me,
I heard that
Saheeli is not the best deck. And the Saheeli deck we've seen in our local game store is not the best performing Standard deck. But it is, to me, it's oppressive. It's one of those decks that, like, I look at building a new deck. Like, a zombie deck is a great example. Like, a zombie deck would be super fun. But I have to think, can I stop a nut draw from Saheeli combo? Nope. So,
and if you go into a tournament night, going to Magic Night, Friday Night Magic.
Sure, and you might have a turn 5 win.
That's the tournament for you. That's the tournament for you. If you're going up against other decks, like, what do other people have?
Even to me, Mardu Vehicles is a better deck that wins more of the time.
Oh, definitely.
But you have a chance.
To me, losing to that deck does not feel as bad as losing to Copycat.
Yeah, I think anything that has basically an automatic win feeling.
Right. I win unless you have instant speed interaction.
Right.
And even sometimes you have instant speed interaction, they have a backup counter.
Right. Anything that does that is hard to...
It feels bad.
Enjoy.
And that's why Emrakul felt bad. It was when people were off the Aetherworks Marvel on turn 4, they'd tap Aetherworks Marvel, they'd get a free Emrakul, and it just felt bad. And so to me, I don't like bannings. I'm not pro bannings, but I wish we had a little better thought put into some of these cards, whereas I don't think Felidar Guardian should have been printed the way it was. And that would have solved this problem.
I know that they wanted to do it for revolt triggers, I think.
Yeah, absolutely, but
they were definitely thinking of that.
But just right at the end of turn. That's all you needed.
Well, if it comes in at the end of turn, I don't know if it actually... I guess it does still give you a revolt
as long as it's removed.
Or if they just had done, like, made an exemption for Planeswalkers or something.
Oh, they could have said target creature. But I mean, like, even...
It's target permanent.
What is the... You can
untap a land, basically. It has so many uses.
I'm blanking on it. There was the angel, Restoration Angel? Is that the one that says non-angel? They took it into account when they printed the card that you couldn't have two of them just blinking each other forever.
I think it was Restoration Flash.
Yeah, blink another creature. I'm pretty sure that would have said blink another non-angel creature because they didn't know what could happen. They didn't know what would happen, but they knew what could happen.
Right.
And that's what's important with some of these cards. And so for me, I'm okay with Kieran being in. I don't think Heart of Kieran needs to be banned because I think there's enough artifact hate. And with Saheeli combo gun, the thing that makes Mardu Vehicles so good, I think right now, is that it plays so well against the Saheeli combo, and that all other decks have to take into account Saheeli combo. And so Mardu just gets to stay ahead of the pack. Whereas in the next set, we're going to have so much artifact hate. And if Saheeli combo was gone, I just don't like Copycat. I really don't. And I think if it was gone, there'd be a lot of other decks that could stand up to Mardu Vehicles.
I think that the fact that they ban Smuggler's Copter and they're okay with Heart of Kieran is a little dumb.
But they're not necessarily okay with Heart of Kieran right now.
They didn't ban
We've seen one ban
Smuggler's Copter because it was too powerful. They banned Smuggler's Copter, at least from what I heard, because they want to see diversity playing. And over 60% of the decks were running Smuggler's Copter. And so they're just like, this isn't diversity. We want, we don't want this one card to fit into every single deck. We want a little bit of diversity. That's what I heard.
I think Smuggler's Copter is too powerful.
What's wrong with having a card that fits into everything, though? You know, like I mean,
maybe they
it was a very powerful card.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
3/3
it wasn't
flyer.
like, I don't know.
Card draw.
I always see it as overpowered, but I heard another guy talking about it, and he was basically
It was
saying,
OP, in
when
my
you
opinion.
played Smuggler's Copter, you felt like you were winning, kind of like the Gideon's Emblem.
Absolutely.
Once you drop that, you feel like you're winning because there's something on the board that says you're winning. And your opponents can't win.
And I think Heart of Kirin is pretty similar. I mean,
Here's where Heart of Kirin is a little
strong.
different for me. Heart of Kirin is the same mana cost, but it's a crew 3. And that's the only reason why it's different.
Turn 3, you drop a Gideon, use one of your loyalty counters to crew.
Sure. No, I'm not saying it's not powerful. It is super powerful. But here's the thing. Thraben Inspector could crew up Smuggler's Copter. And that was ridiculous.
It was beautiful.
It was beautiful.
I was a little hurt. I liked Smuggler's Copter.
I liked it too. And I was a little surprised that it got banned. A Smuggler's Copter to me was nowhere near as oppressive as Emrakul or combo is, Cat Combo to me.
Yeah.
And so I'm not voting for Kirin to be Heart of Kirin. I think Heart of Kirin is a powerful card. But that's what Mythics are supposed to be, right? Like, they're supposed to be powerful cards. A Gideon, another 3-drop Gideon that fits into Mardu vehicles with loyalty counters to use to crew Heart of Kirin scares me a little bit. But there's a lot of artifact hate coming out, and so I'm okay with powerful cards, and that's why I don't mind Mardu vehicles as a deck. Whereas a copycat combo is literally an I win combo, and that's what bugs me. Is any
2-card combo?
Just any scenario you get where it's just like I win. It's not even you can't win right now, I can't lose right now, which is the Gideon Planeswalker thing. That doesn't even bug me that much because I need to build a deck that I can work against that. But the idea of I'm playing this card, unless you do something right now, you lose the game.
Yeah,
and you could have 1,000 health. You could have all the creatures in the world. You can be in the best spot ever, and you could have built a really good deck. You lose.
That's a Feldark Guardian was a creature that said if you control a Saheeli Planeswalker, you win the game.
But yeah, if you control a Saheeli Planeswalker and your opponents haven't built their deck to counter you in the game. And that's what bugs me.
I think you're right.
I think you could build an objectively better deck and still lose.
If more decks didn't have to worry about having to counteract that,
yeah.
I think you're right in that point. If more decks didn't have to worry about having to counteract that, I think there would be more room for diversity instead of just Mardu vehicles being able to just kind of take the...
And there's a lot of artifact hate.
There were decks that I actually thought about building. Interesting deck ideas.
Yeah.
And actually, now that Amonkhet's coming out, I'm thinking about revisiting them. That I just ditched it because of copycats.
You table it for now.
Not going to work.
So for copycat, you need to have instant speed removal or counter. Because if you don't have either of those, you're not necessarily going to lose turn 4, but there is a solid chance you lose turn 4. And that's just not a great feeling. So enough of my rant/our rant on copycat.
So last thoughts. Amonkhet, overall, I'm really excited.
I really like... So for me, Kaladesh, I was like hyped for. I was super hyped. All the inventions and everything else. We didn't even talk about the invocations.
The reason we didn't talk about the invocations, by the way, is because, and maybe some people will disagree, they look really bad. There's some really cool cards.
Okay, let's touch on this. We've gone way long, but we should touch on this. Invocations are not exciting because, to me, the masterpieces from Kaladesh were the prettiest Magic cards ever printed. And I know some people don't think that, but to me, I thought they were amazing. I just loved the look. I love the foil in perks. When you see one, it just looks phenomenal.
The borders, it's great.
I know some people disagree, and that's fine. And the second point was that they were great cards for the most part. Mm-hmm. I mean, granted, sometimes like the only one I ever actually pulled was Mind's Eye, which is fine, didn't hurt my feelings. But I mean, you had Mana Crypts, you had Mox Opals, you had Snaring Bridges, you had Engineer Explosives. I mean, the list goes on and on. Soul Rings.
I was excited for Ornithopter.
Ornithopter was great. The Ravager. There was just so many good cards.
That was such a cool card. Like, could you have a masterpiece?
So the issue is now coming to Invocations. I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt until I see one of these in person.
Yeah.
Because the masterpieces do look a whole lot better in person for Kaladesh than they do on the computer. Granted, they still look great on the computer, whereas these kind of look like first craft. But I'm just going to give them the benefit of the doubt. The other issue is that there's only like 2 or 3. Well, I'm going to say 2 or 3. There's only a couple really good cards.
Yeah.
In these invocations, which is okay. I mean, not everything has to be a bomb, but like you've got Force Will, you got Daze, you got.
The one I liked actually was Containment Priest.
Containment Priest, but that's not a super expensive card, right?
No, it's not. But
right,
it just looked cool as
sure. No, I agree.
And I don't think that it's going to actually. Dark Ritual is another one.
Dark Ritual.
Just because, I mean, that was back in the days when I first started playing. I think I was like 6 playing with the Dark Ritual and just being like, this is so cool.
I think the cards are on flavor, and I really like the actual art of the cards themselves. Most of the art is super great to me. The frame is pretty brutal.
The presentation of the art, basically.
Is pretty brutal. I'm really hoping...
The weird hieroglyphic text is just... I mean, the fact that you can't even read it, it's terrible.
Here's the thing, though. After thinking about it, I am glad that Wizards did this. Not because I like the invocations, but because I want to see Wizards do new things. And I want to see them take chances. So if all this negative, because there's been a ton of negative feedback with these invocations, cause them to just be like, all right, we're just gonna use the Kaladesh border for all the masterpieces from now on. I'd be super disappointed.
Yep.
Yeah.
I want to see them keep doing new borders, and like I really think the lands from Zendikar were cool borders. Mm-hmm. Like I said, the masterpieces from Kaladesh were the prettiest Magic cards I've seen. And the invocations, okay, I think was a bit of a miss. But maybe they look great in person. I hope they look great in person. And if not, so what? You know, like...
They're still going to be worth more.
You're still going to be excited to pull one. And if you're not, then sell it and it'll still be worth a decent amount of money. So it wasn't the end of the world. I saw like people calling for artists to be fired and for Magic Wizards to be like calm down, everybody. I think these are cool cards. I agree that it's super weird. I've never seen anything like this. The font is crazy. The card is nuts. But I think it's cool. Wizards took a chance. They kind of missed the mark on this one, but keep doing it. Like I want to see them keep trying cool new things.
Listening, Wizards. Don't stop trying.
Of course they're listening. This is our first podcast. Why would they listen?
They're going to hear us.
Yeah. Thanks, Mark Rosewater.
So basically, I think highlights for me, X mana cost Planeswalker.
Amen, brother. Preach.
Cycle lands are pretty awesome. And I think Gideon and the Gods are really cool.
Yep.
There's going to be a lot of cards in here that I think will change a lot of the format in Modern.
Yeah, I agree. I think I was super happy to see Cycling come back. That's a highlight for me. Really happy to see Living End maybe get some cool cards. That's really exciting to me. The Gods, it was weird to see them at first. I kind of expected a little more Theros-y kind of thing where they weren't creatures all the time, but I think they're solid. Nobody wants to see Gods come back and ruin Standard because they're so powerful, right?
Right.
So it's okay to see Gods with some limitations. I think the art's top notch. Again, I really like the X-Cost Planeswalker. I think and I love the way it's put together. Everything about that card to me is just really cool. Yeah. It's solid. Everything works about that card.
She's in a color scheme that's not super popular
right
now.
And that works as well.
I think it could change a lot of the Standard format.
Yeah, I love the fact that it's not super popular, but that is so cool that it will push people towards that color scheme. I think we've gotten some seriously interesting Modern-ish cards. Maybe not all of them hit Modern. Maybe some of the ones we haven't seen or talked about hit Modern. But overall, I'm really excited for this. I think the lands are solid. Planeswalker's solid. God's solid. And I'm curious to see. I think if Saheeli combo gets banned, I think we see a really cool, interesting Standard in the next few months. I think this is solid. I think this doesn't look as solvable as Kaladesh and Aether Works. Or Aether Revolt.
Yeah.
Whereas I think those were kind of solved quickly. I think there's enough nuance. It looks like there's a lot of nuance in this set and a lot of mechanics that take a little more time to figure out.
Yeah, it's definitely going to open a lot more doors. We're going to see a little bit more diversity.
Yeah. So this was...
My highlight card was the red counterspell. That was
Glorious End.
Glorious End.
Yep,
Glorious End. And that makes a glorious end to this podcast, right?
A lot of my standard decks have been those kind where I'm just like, okay, I'm there, and I trip at the end. I trip at turn 5 or something like that, and I can't. It's a little bit faster.
Somebody
ramp
negates
decks.
your Glorious End.
And yeah, that would be the worst. Well, of course, then I wouldn't lose the game, so it's not a whole loss. But still, it's just like if you could just like when they go to cast their spell to stop you or to get their final creature down so they can start blocking and ramping up or something like that. Glorious End. And it's like, my turn, you're dead. You know?
And the turn.
I'm excited about that card. That's just, yeah.
And what a glorious end it is.
Amen. All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to the MTGenuis podcast. Check us out on YouTube at MTGenuis, and we will catch you later with another Worthless podcast.
All right, guys. Bye.
Bye.